Who can legally act? The foundation of brokerage compliance. As we move forward in Chapter 5, we now shift from the physical presence of the brokerage to the individuals operating within it. One of the most fundamental responsibilities of a designated broker is ensuring that every person conducting real estate activity under the brokerage is properly licensed and authorized. This section builds directly on Section 5.1. Once the brokerage is properly established and identified, the next step is ensuring that all agents operating within that brokerage are legally permitted to perform real estate services. Under Arizona law, no person may engage in real estate activity without an active license issued by the Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE. This is not just an agent responsibility, it is a broker responsibility. Failure in this area exposes both the agent and the broker to serious disciplinary action under ARS, paragraph 32, 2153. Active license verification, trust but verify. A broker must continuously verify that all agents affiliated with the brokerage hold an active and valid license. This is not a one-time check at onboarding. It is an ongoing responsibility. Key verification practices include confirming license status through ADRE prior to hiring, monitoring expiration dates and renewal requirements, ensuring fingerprint clearance cards remain valid, verifying that licenses are not in inactive, suspended, or revoked status. For example, a brokerage in Chandler hires a new agent who recently transferred from another firm. Before allowing that agent to conduct any activity, the broker must confirm that the license is active and properly transferred into the brokerage. A common compliance failure occurs when an agent's license expires and the agent continues to work unknowingly. If the broker does not have a system in place to monitor license status, this becomes a supervision failure. Under AAC R4-28-1103, brokers must implement systems to monitor and ensure compliance, including license status tracking. A key takeaway: if the license is not active, the agent cannot perform any real estate activity, no exceptions. Employment restrictions under ARS, paragraph 32-2155. Who can be paid? Arizona law strictly regulates who can receive compensation for real estate services. Under ARS, paragraph 32-2155, a broker may only pay compensation to a licensed salesperson employed by that broker, another licensed broker. This means agents cannot be paid if their license is inactive. Commissions cannot be paid to unlicensed individuals. Referral fees must involve properly licensed parties. For example, an agent in Mesa refers a client to another agent, but allows their license to go inactive before the transaction closes. Even though the referral occurred while the license was active, the agent may not be able to legally receive compensation if not properly licensed at the time payment is made. Another common issue arises when unlicensed assistants expect compensation tied to transactions. While administrative support is allowed, compensation cannot be based on real estate activity unless the individual is licensed. Violations of ARS, paragraph 32-2155 are taken seriously and often result in fines or disciplinary action. Unlicensed activity risks, one of the biggest compliance threats. Unlicensed activity is one of the most significant risks in real estate. It occurs when an individual performs activities that require a license without actually holding one. Examples of unlicensed activity include negotiating terms of a transaction, showing property independently, discussing contract terms or pricing, holding oneself out as a real estate professional. For example, an unlicensed assistant in Scottsdale begins answering client questions about pricing strategies and contract terms. Even if done with good intentions, this crosses the line into licensed activity. Under Arizona law, this is a violation, and the broker may be held responsible. This ties directly into ARS, paragraph 32-2153, as allowing or failing to prevent unlicensed activity can result in disciplinary action against the broker. A critical concept: intent does not matter. Even accidental unlicensed activity is still a violation. Broker responsibility for agent actions, the ultimate accountability. One of the most important principles in Arizona real estate law is that the broker is responsible for the actions of their agents. Under AAC R4-28-1103, the designated broker must exercise reasonable supervision over all licensees. This includes monitoring agent activity, ensuring compliance with licensing laws, preventing unlicensed activity, enforcing brokerage policies, For example, a brokerage in Phoenix allows agents to operate independently without oversight. One agent continues working after their license expires. Even if the broker was unaware, the lack of supervision creates liability. This concept is reinforced in Jennings v. Lee, where the court emphasized the fiduciary duties and responsibilities associated with real estate practice. While that case focused on disclosure, the broader principle applies. Responsibility cannot be delegated. A broker cannot avoid liability by claiming ignorance. If an agent violates the law, the broker's supervision will be examined. This is why strong systems, clear policies, and active oversight are essential. Bringing it all together. License status and employment compliance form the backbone of a legally operating brokerage. Without proper licensing, no transaction is valid and no compensation is lawful. This section reinforces a critical theme. Compliance begins with who is allowed to act. A compliant brokerage must verify license status at all times, ensure compensation is paid only to licensed individuals, prevent unlicensed activity, actively supervise all agents. As we move into the next section, we will explore written policies and procedures, giving brokers the tools to enforce everything discussed so far. Online discussion. Why must brokers continuously verify license status? Answer: because license status can change, and allowing an inactive or unlicensed individual to perform real estate activity creates liability and violates Arizona law. What is the main purpose of ARS, paragraph 32-2155? Answer: to ensure that only properly licensed individuals receive compensation for real estate services. Why is unlicensed activity such a serious issue? Answer: because it undermines consumer protection and exposes both the individual and broker to disciplinary action.